Too movement has successfully highlighted the prevalence of male sexual harassment against women, particularly in the workplace. Many pastors have also used this movement to help their people become more aware of how common sexual and domestic violence are and how repulsive this behaviour is to the heart of God. The heartache and pain inflicted on women by some men, hence the Me Too movement, also saw the rise of the phrase toxic masculinity, which can lead to an anti-masculine sentiment. Now, the term toxic masculinity can suggest that masculinity in and of itself is bad, flawed, and even dangerous. Of course, we must never defend toxic actions of any sort, but at its core, masculinity is not toxic. Rather, true masculinity is an expression of the image of God, as is femininity. To be sure, some men, and too many men, act in toxic ways, but this is not a representative of masculinity. Their behaviour is toxic and degrading and even criminal. It's their behaviour that's the problem, not the fact that they are men. My concern is that our culture is in danger of losing a helpful understanding of manhood and potentially consigning a generation of men and boys to a state of confusion, unsure of how they are meant to behave. I don't want my grandsons growing up thinking that they need to deny their natural masculinity. Rather, I want them to be assured that they are created in the image of God, to be good men. And neither do I want my granddaughters growing up with a distrust of boys and men, an attitude of being suspicious of men, which would potentially rob them of the ability to develop strong and healthy relationships with both sexes. Girls and boys need to hear that masculinity is good. They need to be involved in important conversations about what manhood is meant to look like. But that doesn't mean there is one definition of manhood, of course. The Bible doesn't give us that luxury. There is no one picture of manliness. To insist on that would hurt godly men who are manly, but who don't enjoy sport or cars or working outdoors. We can't make our particular expression of manhood the standard for others. Being male or female is not about cultural stereotypes. Masculinity and femininity reflect something much deeper. They reflect the attributes of God. God honoured humans by creating us in his image, male and female. And of course, men and women share many virtues. So where do we look for a perfect example of manliness? Well, to the only perfect human being who ever lived, the man, Jesus Christ. And how did Jesus express his manhood? Well, he was someone who cried openly with emotion, yet he turned over tables in righteous anger. He spoke truth, he respected women and elevated their social position, he welcomed children, and he died an agonising death to save you and me. Now that's an example of masculinity that we can afford to promote and to follow.